Many seek the path to victory, but only one can stand glorious over all. From the Badlands come the orcs and goblins, a green tide of brutal creatures that must be stopped.
Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer guide. Today we're looking at the magic users of the Greenskin army. These are quite an interesting bunch of characters. Whereas you'd say the Empire magic is quite sort of normal-ish for magic that you see in lots of games, the Greenskin magic, their gods Gork and Mork are very different. So there's three main types. So obviously you've got Azag the Slaughterer, who's the legendary hero who does magic. But these are the sort of standard heroes. So first off, we're going to go from smallest to largest. This is the Night Goblin Shaman. He is a Night Goblin, so it does allow him, so we'll go through, he's obviously a spellcaster. He gets Vanguard deployment, meaning he can deploy further at the beginning of a fight, so you might be able to, deploy him with a small group of Night Goblins hidden away in trees, so maybe a flank charge or something like that. But that's really quite useful for sort of just arranging your battlefield. And he also does poison attacks. So a poison attack in the game attacks. So the poisonous attacks of this unit weaken the target's speed and damage whilst increasing its vigor. So it's different to the tabletop game. Basically, poison in the tabletop game is when you're rolling to wound. If you roll a 6, it automatically wounds regardless of the person's armor and all that sort of stuff. So that's quite an interesting change, but it's still quite useful. And so he's got no armor whatsoever. 15 armor is pretty much non-existent. He's got a pretty poor leadership as well. Normal speed. He can ride a wolf into combat just to give him some more mobility, which might be a good idea if you want to sort of run him around the battlefield. He does a small amount of damage for a character, 280. His attack obviously is poison, which helps, and he's got a poor charge bonus. So he's not a combat character at all, really. So his special abilities, he's got missile resistance as standard, Vanguard deployment, which we talked about. He can also hide in any terrain, which is really quite useful. He's only little, he can probably hide behind a rock. So his spells, the first one we're going to look at is Sneaky Stealing. So it's a hex, and it's constant, so it's like a passive, and it reduces the power recharge rate. So this is a really fantastic character if you want to have less magic in the battle, because this is for everybody. So the recharge rate of this power is the magic sort of mana, as it would be in the tabletop version. So like the power dice. So we start off with, there's a total of 30, but it recharges one every 6 seconds. So that will actually increase if you use this. So if you're anti-magic, this is quite a good guy to bring along. He's also got Sneaky Stabbing, which casts on the ground or an ally unit. Its duration is 12 seconds. It's got a really good range of 200 metres, and it affects everybody within 30 metres of that. So kind of cast it right in the middle of your battle lines, and it makes your army or those units do plus 34 damage, which is fantastic, and makes them armour piercing, which is huge. If you're going up against those armoured foes. So really nice spell. He's got Itchy Nuisance, I've had one of them, and it's a ground or enemy target, another 200 metre hex. It lasts for almost 30 seconds, which is spectacular. It basically reduces their damage, reduces the combat effectiveness of close combat troops. So lovely, and it affects 30 metre range. Next we've got Gork'll Fix It, another hex, 200 metres, same again, so they're all quite similar in range, so it's nice and easy to work out. And this is fantastic to use against like army units of knights or something, anything that's got a good charge bonus, because it slows them down and it reduces their charge bonus, so that's fantastic. Then we've got Night Shroud, only acts on targets when in the area, which is going to be a 30 metre area, and it's minus 20 accuracy and minus 24 visible range. So obviously you use this on artillery or ranged like missile units, bowmen, handgunners, that sort of thing. Perfect for that sort of spell. And there's not many spells like that in the game that just sort of negates the power of those sort of units. There's lots of spells that kill units, but there's not many that just sort of, hurt the archers, so they're basically ineffective. So the next up, we've got Vindictive Glare, which is a magic missile, and it's got a fantastic range of 250. And but it's quite inaccurate. And it's so we look at the effects here. It's effective at close range, and it's good from a high angle. So if you're up a hill, causes magic damage, and strong versus a single combatant. But it's got poor penetration, which is quite interesting. So you want to use this as against their hero characters, or even just sort of small units of sort of elite troops. But it does have poor penetration. It's not the best spell. I wouldn't use that in a pinch. I think at range it's going to be highly inaccurate. We'll sort of see that. So the next we've got Curse of the Bad Moon. This is probably the sort of biggest spell that the goblins have, which is a vortex spell, and it does magic damage, and this is for wiping out large units. So it creates a vortex that lasts for 22 seconds. It randomly moves about, so don't class it too near your own troops. But it's just sort of fantastic. So this causes magical damage, strong versus multiple units. It disrupts enemy formation because it's a vortex. They're going to run and spread out and stuff. So this is really good as they're charging in on you. You can do it. A large moving area of effect, as we said. And it basically reduces their armor, which is fantastic, their speed, and their melee attack. So this is great for just as those battle lines close down. That's when to sort of use it, just before you do get into combat. So this is, I was wondering if they were going to have this in the game. So this is called Madcap Mushrooms, and it is an augment in the game, but in reality it's an item in the tabletop version. And you cast on yourself, you basically eat one of your magic mushrooms. So it basically gives you ability recharge rate, a quicker ability recharge rate. But there is a 25% miscast chance when you do use it, because your magic mushrooms, mate, stuff might go wrong. So it's quite an interesting ability. I'm interested to sort of see the sort of I haven't really used these too much in combat so far, so we'll see what the penalties are. Next we're going to look at the Goblin Great Shaman, who's sort of slightly advanced. He's a little bit bigger than the Night Goblin. They're from a different clan. So we'll look at his. So he's a spellcaster. He doesn't have the poison attacks or vanguard deployment, but and he has 10 more armor, a little bit more leadership. The rest is sort of pretty much the same. We'll look at his spells. He's got the same as before that all characters get. He's got sneaky stealing again. He's got sneaky stabbing, itchy nuisance, which we definitely liked. Gork'll fix it. Night Shroud for the archer units. You've got the Vindictive Glare, and you have Curse of the Bad Moon. The difference is, as well as being a bit more survivory, that's not a word, is it? Survivable, one of them. He also has Stand Your Ground, which the hero characters have. So this is really helpful for orcs and goblins. This is why, overall, I'd probably take this guy over the Night Goblin, just because leadership is such an issue with orcs. So the fact it casts on yourself and affects all units within 40 meters, plus 16 leadership is just huge for orcs, and obviously improves their damage and attack as well, so that's really nice. But that's probably the main reason I'd go for him, unless I was going for some sort of themed army. And then next we've got the Orc Shaman. So his spell's very different, because there's Gork and Mork are the two gods. So the goblins used Gork and the orcs used Mork, I think. Yeah, it's been a while since I played the tabletop game. So he's a spellcaster. Being an orc, he's a little bit bigger, so he's got more hit points. Armor's 30, leadership's a little bit more. Still nothing special really. Obviously he's a spellcaster. He's not a combat character. None of these guys are. He's got his standard character bits. He's got Power of the War, which is a constant buff around himself. That's basically improved. So this is if you want to use a lot of magic. So this is the opposite to the goblin ones, whereas it improves the power recharge rate, so people are going to be able to cast more spells. And obviously it's negated if he's wavering, because he's not concentrating on that. Next up we got Fists of Gork, which is an augment, 21 seconds, nice good distance, 200 meters, and it's basically a buff to one of your units, meaning they do more damage, a crap ton more damage, really. That's a really nice spell. And so you can cast that 200 meters away, which is very nice. Here we go. So this is an augment that instantly affects targets in an area, which is very unusual for magic in this game, because magic seems to sort of, it gives you a indicator of where a spell's going to hit, just to even it up and make it a bit less powerful. Whereas this is instant, and it casts on an ally and gives them just ridiculous amounts of damage. Was it 58? Plus 58 melee attack. That's lovely. Next up, we've got Gaze of Mork, which is an even longer ranged spell. It's a magic missile, and it's very good versus large characters, you know, the heroes of other armies. It's not sort of ability I would use too much. I think there's others, better ones in his repertoire. Next up, we got Brain Burster, which is an explosion. It's very short range, only 75 minutes in 75 minutes. For 75 meters, it targets the ground rather than a unit, and it basically causes an eruption, an explosion out of the ground. And this is the Orc Shaman's way of dealing with larger units. So very, very good. It doesn't do much. It's no sort of armor penetration or anything like that. So not very good against the, you know, the heavily armored targets, but very, very good against units of those spearmen, the men at arms, all that sort of units. It's just perfect. Edbutt is a breath weapon, which you've not seen in the Orc so far. It lasts for 7 seconds, and it's really good as the enemy basically is about to charge. 150 metres away, you target the ground. It disrupts enemy formations just because they scatter everywhere. And again, it's very good against large units. It's perfect. And basically it goes out in a... It says expanding tear-shaped attack. Almost like, sort of think of a flamethrower type thing. Just a big woof out from his... breath out from his mouth, I guess. And lastly, Foot of... In the tabletop version, this was my single favourite spell in the game. And in its explosion, it lasts for 10 seconds. It's 200 metres, you target the ground, and it basically implants the shape of a giant foot. It's the foot of the god Gork, and it lands on the ground and does damage and disrupts the enemy formation wherever it hits. Good against big units, but it lasts for 10 seconds, so the foot will randomly move, almost like the vortex spells that we've seen before. It's a brilliant fun spell to use. So we're going to have a quick look into combat now. We'll cast a few spells, and so in our little skirmish game, a couple of Empire units. So we'll start with, I think, let's go with the Night Goblin Shaman. You're first up. We'll just choose one. There's so many spells, we'll just choose one spell of each. Do we want to go for the Curse of the Bad Moon? It's one of my favourite spells. Obviously quite a short range. If you just want to cancel a spell, by the way, obviously it's out of range, so he's running into range to cast it now. If you just click like to move elsewhere. Right. Good luck, everyone. Obviously, these are not combat characters. If they get into combat on their own, they are slaughtered. They've got low morale. It's not very helpful. Yeah, so we've got to do a Curse of the Bad Moon. It's quite short range, so we're there at the moment. I think we'll just lose it there, because I think they're going to start closing in. Unfortunately, we probably will get an archer range to cast this, but it's only a test. So the way to use these guys is as mainly sort of frontline troops. Here we go. Oh, they're not moving, so that's useful. I thought they might come and get us. There he is. And as you can see, it's scattering people about. It's doing a ton of damage, especially to this unit. They've lost half their troops, and he's wandering off in a random direction. That's amazing. That spell effect is really, really good. As I said, yeah, so I would use these in your main battle line. You don't want them out on their own because they will get sniped off. You might want to use like a little Night Goblin Shaman, just hidden in some trees somewhere, just to do something a bit unusual. If part of a larger plan. We've got to go for the Foot Gork, haven't we? But you know they do give bonuses to your troops, so use them part of your main battle line, just off the front. Don't get them involved in combat unless you absolutely have to. Kind of don't ever. Here we go. There's the foot. Disappointing. I kind of missed a lot of people there. Wait for it. Right, what are we going to go for? We can't use the curse. Itchy nuisance. I just want to cast that just for funsies. Yeah, let's go for Itchy Nuisance. It probably won't be the most exciting spell. So this is cast on the ground, or it clicks to a unit. So we're going to cast it on this unit. Have an Itchy Nuisance. So it doesn't do damage. Where is it? There you go. And all units within 30 meters. So that's the spell effect there. So these are now massively debuffed. for the next sort of, what was it, 29 seconds. That's a fantastic spell. So there you go, there's a little example of some of the orc magic. Let me know your tips and tricks and your favourite spells in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We've got a ton more Total War content coming out. We're going to do every unit guide, and then we're going to do some sort of battle setups and advanced tactics and stuff. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye.